Cześć, z tej strony Michał Zachodny, a to mój podcast o taktyce, statystyce i analityce w piłce nożnej. Możecie znaleźć go na Spotify, Google i YouTube. Zapraszam Was też do Viaplay, gdzie analizują i komentują mecze Bundesligi oraz europejskich pucharów. Możecie ostatnio usłyszeć sporo nowości w podcaście do tablicy, jeśli chodzi o pojawiające się materiały. Był ten pomeczowy prosto z Monachium. Tym razem nagrywam ledwie kilka godzin po meczu Barcelony z Napoli. Kolejne imponujące zwycięstwo ekipy Xaviego. Takie zwycięstwo zresztą, które było podkreśleniem idei, którą stara się wdrażać w swój wciąż nowy, wciąż młody, wciąż rozwijający się zespół, ale sam fakt, że po tym występie, tym zwycięstwie 4-2 w Neapolu chwalimy grę Frankiego de Jonga, chwalimy grę Pedriego, ale też ataku i sposobu, w jaki Barcelona broniła w wysokim pressingu, pokazuje, że ten rozwój jest bardzo dynamiczny. Viaplay pokazywaliśmy w trakcie naszego studia nie tylko sposób, w jaki Barcelona potrafiła szybko przechodzić do ataku, w jaki sposób rozgrywała cierpliwie piłkę, jak grali poszczególni zawodnicy, jak wyglądało wyprowadzenie piłki od własnej bramki, że potrafił ten zespół grać również bezpośrednio. Mi zwłaszcza spodobała się jedna sytuacja z końcówki spotkania, gdy wynik był już ustalony, gdy Barcelona dalej posiadała piłkę i tym posiadaniem piłki nie tylko wybijała rywali z jakichkolwiek ambicji czy też chęci powalczenia o jeszcze bardziej korzystny rezultat, ale przede wszystkim starała się sama tworzyć przewagę. W tym wszystkim było widać jedną znaczącą koncepcję, którą zaraz wytłumaczę, ale o której mówił bardzo ciekawie mój rozmówca w materiale właśnie do tego studia przedmeczowego Viaplay. Otóż rozmawiałem w środę z Albertem Blają Sensatem, to jest analityk, freelancer, dziennikarz, który publikuje swoje analizy na Twitchu, jak również na Twitterze. Bardzo serdecznie polecam jego konto @BlajaSensat. Jest ono bardzo interesujące. Nawet jeśli do końca nie rozumie się języka hiszpańskiego, to można zawsze sobie szybko przetłumaczyć i naprawdę poznać wiele ciekawych koncepcji. Jedną z tych koncepcji, o których mówiliśmy nagrywając rozmowę, był trzeci zawodnik. Koncepcja trzeciego zawodnika. Oznacza ona, że w zaangażowaniu rozegrania dwójki piłkarzy, w skupieniu uwagi przeciwnika, nagle najistotniejszy jest ruch zawodnika, który jest teoretycznie z dala od akcji, ale wykorzystuje przestrzeń tworzoną przez tych zawodników, którzy przyciągają do siebie rywala. Oglądając Barcelonę przez pryzmat właśnie tego konceptu, zdecydowanie łatwiej przychodzi zrozumienie tego, co stara się wdrożyć Xavi. Zresztą czytając już pomeczową wypowiedź tego szkoleniowca, zwróciło moją uwagę to, że wymieniając te wszystkie pozytywy, które przyszły wraz z grą i bardzo dobrą dyspozycją jego drużyny w Neapolu, to właśnie umiejętność wykorzystania wolnego zawodnika, czyli tego zawodnika, który jest teoretycznie poza zasięgiem obrony, ale często to do niego wędruje piłka. Po tym jak Barcelonie udawało się skupić uwagę w centrum gry, a więc tam, gdzie jest futbolówka w danym momencie. Natomiast to szybsze przeniesienie akcji, to podniesienie tempa rozegrania, ominięcie pressingu było naprawdę imponującym fragmentem. Oczywiście możecie uznać, że rozmowa nagrana z Albertem przed tym spotkaniem jest w jakimś stopniu nieaktualna. Wyciąłem te części, które dotyczyły samego meczu z Napoli, przewidywań, jak ten mecz może wyglądać, gdzie Barcelona może mieć problemy. Natomiast jest wiele fragmentów w naszej rozmowie, w tym wywiadzie, które wydają się na tyle uniwersalne, że przede wszystkim pomagają zrozumieć lepiej samego Xaviego, same jego pomysły koncepcję, a skoro Albert regularnie, mecz po meczu przedstawia na naprawdę bardzo szczegółowych czynnikach taktykę Barcelony, to warto go posłuchać. Ta rozmowa była przeprowadzona w języku angielskim, no i tu innowacja, zostawiam oryginalne nagranie. Nie zamierzałem podkładać tutaj głosu. Jeśli będzie taka potrzeba, proszę napiszcie do mnie wprost, to opublikuję spisaną rozmowę z Albertem Blają Sensatem na jednym z moich kanałów, a posłuchać i poczytać będzie warto, bo opowiada między innymi o tym, jakie są inspiracje Xaviego i to wcale nie te tylko oczywiste, w kim widzi najważniejszego zawodnika Barcelony, która z koncepcji jest najistotniejsza i jakie wciąż problemy ma ten zespół, który rozwija się i zdaniem Alberta swój szczyt może osiągnąć za kilka miesięcy. Zostawiam Was z naszą rozmową.
How the XAVIBALL changed the perception of Barca, the club, Barca, the team, in recent times, in your opinion?
Well, I would say that the main word, or the most important word, it's illusion, because for what Xavi represents as a football player, not only as a coach, because a lot of people here didn't see or didn't watch any of Al-Sadd games. So I would say that for what Xavi represents, that the first day it was illusion. It was I think that the idea that the Barcelonism was recovering something that they have lost or that they have been taken from their hands. We have been in 3 months in a good path, I think. The Barcelona is being playing well, but I think that the most important thing in Xavi's message is not only what he says, but the way he transmits his message, the enthusiasm, and I think that the knowledge that he has in a lot of the positional game, but also of the environment in Barcelona, that it's very complicated to manage this environment, this media environment with the fans, with the journalism, and I think Xavi is very clever and he knows how to manage. So I think that the fans have recovered this illusion that has been lost on the recent years, and I think that this is the most important point.
So how different are those ideas of Xavi, the manager, from the previous coaches that Barcelona had in recent years, perhaps from the time that Luis Enrique left the club?
Well, I think it's important to understand the context of the arrival of Xavi. There's a lot of young players now. There's this base of Pedri, Gavi, Nico, Ansu, Eric, Araujo. So these young players, they have to understand that the game is changing. And Xavi, I think that he has a lot of ideas that are new to the Barcelona team, because the recent years Barcelona played in the rhythm of Lionel Messi. No, he was a magnificent player, but the Barcelona was a lower team, and the ball was moving not in the right, I think, the right direction. And the great matches, it was very difficult and hard to compete when the rhythm was frenetic. Teams against Liverpool, for example, like Liverpool or like Paris Saint-Germain, those teams were very complicated for Barcelona. And I think Xavi has tried to restore the model that has been lost in recent years. And the Xavi has said in a lot of interviews that it's very complicated for them to coach a team that has that hasn't had this knowledge in recent years on the model, like the third man, these concepts that have been lost, and it's very complicated. And I think Xavi is trying to recover this type of concept that have been lost. And I think it is the main point. The focus on the little details, on the preparation of the games. I think it's a lot of more professionalized, and I think it is the main point that Xavi has been working on it. But anyway, I think that we'll see the best team maybe when we have this July, or we are in July and August, because Xavi has a lot to work on, and it's complicated in the middle of the season to try to work on these concepts, because they are very, very complicated.
Which of these news ideas you have spoken of that Xavi brought into the Barcelona are perhaps the most important in that current time?
I think the most important concept by now is the third man, because it's a concept that facilitates the possession, the attacking idea. And for example, with a striker or with the midfielders, those half spaces have been well occupied now. So it's trying to understand that the game is made of little concepts that if you put it on the same page, they give you some advantage upon the rival. But I think that the third man, that Xavi insisted a lot when he arrived here, that he said that he was surprised by the low level of this concept here in the first team. And now when you watch the games, when you realize that they play or they understand how to move, how to pass the ball, how to occupy the spaces, the right spaces, I think that this has an improvement. So in the past weeks, and I would say that this is the main concept or the concept that we see. It's more important in the Xavi's idea since August or July when it will start the next season. We won't see the best FC Barcelona because now they are in the middle of a process that is very long and it's tough and it's hard to put it in practice in the middle of the season.
Given his playing career, it would be quite easy to say that Xavi's inspirations are Pep Guardiola or Luis Enrique. You said yourself that there is that illusion that he's bringing back the Barcelona model. Maybe you see in some of his ideas some different managers, some different inspirations, so to say, that he's bringing to Barcelona right now.
Yeah, of course. His main influences, as you have said, are Luis Enrique or Guardiola. That are the two coaches that mark his career. There's also Luis Aragonés, the Spanish coach in the Euro Cup that Spain won in 2008. But I would say that Xavi is in love with Manchester City. He has talked in a lot of interviews about the City's model, about the way they attack, about those 2-3-5 model in the way they build the attacking phase with those midfielders playing in the final line of the defense, like fixing the positions to create some spaces with wingers that are fixing also the defenses. But here in Barcelona, it's different because of the player he has. But I see some reminiscences of this Manchester City. Of course, every team has a different structure. Every team is different because the players are completely different. But I see some inspiration about this Manchester City that for me it's the best team in the world just right now. And so also these influences of some teams like Sassuolo the last year in Italy with De Zerbi, a coach that it's very keen with this model. And I see some of these paths also in this Barcelona. But by now, what I like more about Xavi is that he's trying to figure out how to improve the team with his own methods, not copying or trying to copy some Guardiola methods that in Manchester City, if not trying to find his own methods, his own path with his model.
Only recently, Barcelona won against Atletico Madrid in a spectacular fashion. They did so against Valencia in the weekend. And also that Napoli game was much better in terms of tactical performance, pressing performance, than the result would suggest. Which one of those games, or perhaps any different, that Xavi managed Barcelona in was the best in terms of his ideas, giving the best picture of what that Barcelona might be in the future?
Well, football is fantastic because the result, it's rare that it reflects what happened in the pitch. And I think that the game against Napoli, as you mentioned, is the most perfect game that this team has played. Not because only the pressing that was intensive, that was just like very smart pressing, because Napoli is a great team in the build-up, so it's difficult to recover the ball in the first stages of the possession of the rival. But on the way they play and the way they find solutions with the ball to try to attack the defensive line, the creating spaces with the movement and this little swap between some players like Aubameyang and Ferran that changed some positions, and the importance of the role, not only the position but the role, and on those teams that every player has to interpret some roles, and they did it very good. But I think that maybe the Atletico de Madrid, it was a more efficient game. Barcelona had this efficiency to transform the occasions in goals. That it's more the most important thing in football. But finally, I would say that against Napoli is when I most enjoy watching Barcelona play. There's high pressing, those personality to move the ball quickly and to find those solutions. And the defensive line against a great team that they lost Monday, but they are on the race for the Serie A since like the 80s. So it's just a great team, Napoli. And we'll see what happens Thursday, but I think we'll see a great game.
Pep's model is based around juego de posición, which is the structure, the positions of the team on the pitch in any given moment. In your analysis, you seem to notice how important it is for the Barcelona right now. You mentioned the structure in our interview, but maybe you see something special in the roles of players from different formations, different roles on the pitch that make it different to what City does, to perhaps what Barcelona did when Messi was around, what Barcelona did in the first few months of this season when Koeman was managing the team.
Yeah, I think that the most important point here is that the players understand what they have to do on the pitch, because it's complicated, that the rules are a little bit confusing sometimes, because some players cannot understand what they have to do when the ball, for example, on the build-up, the players that play on the winger, they have to be very aggressive, to attack the spaces, to be I think that they have to be a lot more patient. But when the ball is moving forward, they have to interact with the other players and with the spaces in a different way that when it's going or it's playing in the build-up, because it's there that when you, for example, can watch Adama or Ousmane Dembélé in the right winger, that they are so patient and they only receive the ball and try to make this one-on-one against the defender. If they can do it, they move the ball inside another time. But in the left winger, we have some different roles with, for example, Gavi, that has been playing there against Espanyol or against Atletico de Madrid, or Ferran, that is a player that's very flexible in his positioning. They move in these inside positions. They try to fix this defensive line. They change or swap those positions with the striker, Aubameyang. And I think it's very interesting that the differences between players that play in the same position but on different spaces, and interpreting the defense or the way the defense is moving, I think it's beautiful and to see. For example, against Valencia in the last game, we saw that one of the midfielders, Gavi, was playing a lot more aggressive, trying to attack the spaces, and Frankie became more like a central midfielder sometimes, starting on the defensive line, just like trying to throw with the ball on his feet to find some solutions from passes. But Gavi was more aggressive. So I think that it's important to notice the difference between some players that theoretically they play in the same position, but when you watch Barcelona play, you understand that Xavi is trying to give them some different roles depending on how the rival is playing and what are the characteristics of these players.
At the weekend, we saw how much damage to the opposition can be done by adjusting Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's skills to the team. Yeah. There has been a lot of talk regarding Adama Traore and his energy that he can give to the team in the final third. There is also Pedri, there is also Gavi, you've mentioned. There is also Frankie de Jong, whose role is changing in that Barcelona side. Perhaps you see different key player for that Xavi Barcelona team.
Yeah, with the signings in this winter, I think that we have a lot of key players. But the most important player for me is one of that you have mentioned just right now. It's Pedri. He is for me the best midfield player that has Barcelona in his team with 19 years of age. His IQ, his presence, his ability, his technique, his balance is just incredible, a joy to watch. And he has been very important these recent games. He had been injured from October since January. So there's a lot of time. And when he came back against Real Madrid, he made his presence being noticed in the game. And then in the recent games, the last against Atletico de Madrid, Valencia, Napoli, Espanyol, he has been for me the best player in the team. Just trying to interact with other players on those half spaces, understanding when to move the ball backward, when to move the ball forward. It's just incredible to only watch Pedri during a game, and because if you watch Pedri, you will understand what is happening in the game, because he's very clever and he understands what is needed for the team in the right moment. For example, if the team is like Valencia, it's some pause, some calm in the middle of the storm. He's a player that wants to have the ball, wants to make the right passes, and his skill level in the little spaces in those when there's no time to think, he always find the right solution. So it's for me, it's the best player in those teams just right now, and the most important player for Xavi's structure and Xavi's model.
We've seen in that game against Napoli how tough it can be for Barcelona if the opposition team moves the ball from under their pressure. They can do so by, using such a player like Piotr Zielinski, who created 2 free chances, scored the goal himself, using his technical ability to avoid the pressure, to move out of very congested spaces with a lot of Barca players. Is that the most obvious problem, risk, deficiency of the Barca style under Xavi?
Well, I think that the most important point on this sequence that you have mentioned is that if Barcelona is not able to recover the ball in the first 5-6 seconds, this counter pressure, that's very important. And against Napoli, it worked very well because they recovered, I think, 60 balls on the opposing half. It's that the rival players that, as Zielinski, are very gifted technically, they can create some opportunities. And Barcelona is struggling against teams that has those players in central positions that are capable of connecting with the strikers, or maybe when the wingers receive in deep positions. Barcelona is not defending very well the crosses into the penalty area. They are struggling in those situations, especially when Piqué is not available, because Piqué, I think, is the most important defensive player here for his ability, for his presence, his experience in these situations. But for example, like Eric suffers a lot in these situations. Mingueza, when he plays like against Valencia in the second half, he's struggling to control big bodies like Maxi Gomez or maybe Osimhen that we will see on Thursday. But I think those are the 2 points that Barcelona is not working well. When they can recover the ball on the first 5-6 seconds, his low defensive block is not working because they haven't the right players to defend on those positions. For example, Busquets is an excellent player to defend on the opposing half, but not on your own half, because he has not the abilities to interpret the right moves, and he's always defending forward, not backward. So when the rival has a possession, it's very difficult for him to recover the ball. And also, as I mentioned, those crosses into the box, into the penalty area, that for Barcelona are difficult to connect, because also they don't control the second line of the rival team. They don't control those second line, and it's very dangerous for Barcelona when they lose the first battle inside the area, because they are always on the hands of the rival. And when you are playing against teams that have a lot of quality, it's very difficult to survive. So we'll see if the next games against good teams like Napoli or Athletic Club on this weekend, Barcelona can improve and can continue improving on those items, because for me those are the points that Barcelona has to improve in the next games.